All right.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Small Talk. I'm really pleased to have joining me once again Raven Sinclair. So welcome back to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Oh, you are one busy person, right?
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah.
When you were first on the show, you talked about your consulting company and some of the workshops you do.
Yeah.
So what have you been doing since then?
Well, yeah. So I took a position as Dean of Social Work at University New Heletsine Tayotse Nista Mei Maganak, Blue Quills,
Okay.
which is in St. Paul, Alberta, and told them I'd give them 6 months, and it's a great place. And I learned I'm not an administrator,
Oh, oh.
which is too bad because it's a really great place, and I think that they do really excellent Indigenous social work at all levels. We've got diploma, bachelor's, and masters, and then they've also got it's like an interdisciplinary Indigenous knowledge based doctoral program.
Okay.
And yeah, so it's unfortunate that I can't stay, but I'm truly not an administrator. I've discovered, um, I started out my career as a secretary, putting myself through university, and went to school for 23 years to avoid anything that was like resembled a lot of paperwork and you know
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
I hear you. I hear you.
pushing the papers. Yeah. And I mean, as an academic, you have to deal with paperwork, but it's just there's a different just a different energy
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
writing articles and sifting through articles and reading things and preparing curriculum and that sort of thing. Yeah. So I've been doing that, and I'm done there on May 2nd, and I'm going to be how do I put this? I am I'm helping to develop a foundation,
Mhm.
which is arising out of the Indian Boarding Homes Program class action, which
Oh,
was settled last fall.
right.
It's over $1 billion settlement, and it's for kids who are like mostly more northern, like northern Canada, and then up into Nunavut.
Right.
It's for Indigenous kids between 52 and 91 who were because they didn't have access to high school,
Hmm.
were removed by Indian agents and so on, and sent to cities, urban centers mostly, and boarded in non-Indigenous homes
Hmm.
to go to high school. And I mean, sadly, a lot of people never went to school, so the people were paid, and they were then the kids became like indentured servants, really,
Yeah, yeah.
working on farms, cleaning houses and that sort of thing. And there were all sorts of abuses, this the same as any of the other class action lawsuits. And so have this opportunity to be involved in the development of all the programs, services, and deliveries to boarding home survivors and their descendants.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited about it because it's a lot like the 60 scoop.
Right.
That dislocation, being raised in a non-indigenous context, and so that's what I'm going to be up to.
Very good. Personally, I've been trying to learn more about some of the things that have happened, especially when they send people like way far up north and said, "Oh, you're going to have great this and and then they just leave them with nothing, basically nothing, right?
Yeah.
But I think First Nations people are so strong. They really are strong
Well,
because
we're still here, right?
exactly,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
try as
And
my ancestors and well, even now, don't get me started. I better not.
well, human beings were pretty resilient all around because you think about the settlement of Canada, right? And the different groups that came over here seeking a better life because they were experiencing some kind of political, religious, ethnic oppression, really severe. I mean, many of them have sort of forgotten that over the generations, but yeah, they came over here seeking refuge, really,
Right.
and yeah, so we're pretty resilient, I think, as human beings, and yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
want to see I want to see us become more resilient by taking care of ourselves better.
yes. Somebody was just a friend of mine was just saying how if we could um allow the First Nations people, the indigenous people that take care of the planet like you would be doing in your way back when, taking care of the water and everything you did out of respect for the earth,
Yeah.
we would be in much better position now.
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of merit to, not well, to be crude, not shitting where you eat.
Yeah, yes, that's a good point.
Most animals don't do that except for, well, maybe, pigs. but but they're not that smart, and same with sheep. But yeah, sometimes I think about our future as, like pirates and the gangplank, and it's like going out on the gangplank and sawing between yourself and the ship,
Hmm.
trying to make it shorter.
Right.
It's like at some point you're gonna, yeah, it's a catastrophe.
Yeah,
And
sure. Do you, I was just thinking about something too. Sorry I'm kind of
no,
all over the place.
no worries.
I was just thinking about the election that's coming up,
Yeah.
and do you see a party that is better, more helpful, or more for the First Nations people than any other party?
Well, here's the thing is that I think that I mean, I voted for Trudeau because, I was a kid when Trudeau Senior was in, and my parents were always NDP because they grew up here. They were part of the, what is it, the CCF out here in Saskatchewan, and the forerunner to the new Democratic Party. And my dad was always very sort of socially minded,
Hmm.
and um, but I remember a number of years ago when I first started voting, I came out to Saskatchewan and I voted for the NDP, and then they turned around and did some sort of investments into like chemical or some kind of uranium involvement, and I was really pissed off. you know, and recently, like part of this boarding homes, like the lead plaintiff, he actually went to the NDP office in number of times in Vancouver, and they wouldn't give him the time of day. And finally, it was the liberal MP that you know took it seriously and gave him support. And so it's like, I mean, I appreciate the roots of the NDP. I'm
Hmm.
just not I'm just not convinced that well, they don't have the experience at the federal level, for one. I mean, I think that Jagmeet is good.
Yeah.
I don't know Canada if Canada is ever going to be ready to elect a Sikh leader. And I know that sounds like ethnocentric, and it is. But yeah, it's like
I
it's
went to,
only it's
yeah,
only in more recent years that Kennedy elected like a francophone.
right, right. It's kind of
Yeah,
yes, kind of interesting because here in Chilliwack we have somebody who's I think from Pakistan running
mhm.
for the Liberal Party. We have for the NDP we have a transgender.
Yeah,
And I forget the other two people who they are. Well, the other two people are like, like me, European
yeah,
descent. And I voted for the Liberals as well. No, I don't vote major parties, but I think this is just one of those crucial times where
yeah,
you have to look for what you think is a strong overall leader.
yeah. And that's the thing is, I think that the NDP and the Liberals often split the vote.
Right.
I am a liberal, and I've voted liberal for the last, you know, 10 years,
Hmm.
15 years. And I appreciate Carney's experience.
Right.
Um, I think that he strikes me as a good guy. I mean, he's clearly been involved in big business, CEO of banks, and incredibly well educated, Oxford and Harvard, I think. you know, you can't get a better education than that combination.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, and my dad was also an Oxford educated man, and so I think that uh, I have high hopes. I don't think that Polyev is is I don't think he's educated enough for the job. I think that he's a lifelong political guy.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
right out of his bachelor's degree, working with different ministers and so on all over the government. So yeah, he knows the bureaucratic workings. But in terms of experience out there in the real world, in the corporate world, I don't know. Like, and I'm opposed to many of his Trumpian sentiments. So
Me
yeah, I
too.
that's kind of where I'm going. And I was really pleased that
Yeah.
Carney took the liberal leadership. Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
Again, changing the topic. I'm just
yeah,
remembering that when we talked the first time, you were on a all carnivore diet.
yeah,
Are you still doing that?
yeah,
Oh, right. And it's going really
yeah,
well.
yeah. So I'm down about 85 to 90 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
I know, and I was really sick when I started in in December of 2023. I was really getting sick. Like I'm 63
Okay.
and I was starting to fail. And I had the doctors. I went to the doctor in middle of December, and I didn't really want to go back, but ended up going back in the middle of March. So I'd been carnivore for what would that be, like 10 weeks? And
Right.
I had lost, or maybe it was before that, because I'd only lost about 15 pounds at that point. But I
Yeah.
mean, when you're that heavy, every pound you feel it. And
That's
so I
right.
went in, and in the short period of time that I had been on pure carnivore, I'd lost a fair bit of weight. My blood sugars had stabilized in 3 weeks. So it was at
Mhm.
some point after the 3 weeks that I went back to see my test, and my high blood pressure normalized.
Oh, nice.
It normalized in 5 days.
Wow.
And the interesting thing is that I've heard I was listening to a podcast the other day of this guy who was getting ready for knee surgery, and he had been in pain for 4 years,
Mm.
and he'd started doing intermittent fasting because he was overweight. And he started to listen to some of these podcasts on YouTube about carnivore, and he thought, you know what, I think I'm going to try that because I'm in a bad way here. And so he had fasted for like a day and a half or something, and he waited, until he was hungry in the day, and then later in the day, and he made himself a big steak and he put feta cheese on it, and he said it was just absolutely beautiful, and drank water. The next morning, the first time in 4 years, he woke up without any knee pain,
Oh, wow.
and that was 8 hours. So for people who are, struggling and with whatever, like the incremental benefits that you feel are
Hmm.
fast and they're steady. And I feel benefits every day. I'm also very attuned to what I can't eat, and what meats and so on don't work for me, and what dairies don't work. Um, and I still have dairy once in a while. My my latest friend, who is kind of like a mentor, is her name's Maggie, and she's been a carnivore for 65 years. She's 85 and she's 84 and she's absolutely beautiful. And I mean, she's running a ranch over in Alberta, and I just picked up a load of meat. And she said, you should be on you should be on the lion diet. And yeah, I should be. It would probably really help to just get rid of the residual, the visceral fat around my tummy, my little teeny extra small muffin top. And yeah, and just really, really set me on a good path. But I feel so great. I mean, I've had to change my wardrobe twice. I I had to, I was wearing like a 35, 36 pant. I'm into a 28, and I haven't worn a 28 since I was 28.
This is so awesome.
I know, I know. And so yeah, it's a really great. It's
Yeah.
changed my life. It's really changed my life.
Right. I have to
Yeah.
look into it more because, like, I'm 76. I'm going to be 77 soon. And I have discs that are, I go to bed in pain because of my back,
Yeah.
right? The
Yeah.
deteriorating discs and, and all these other wonderful things that go along with it. Um, my biggest problem is, I have the same appetite I always have, but I move less,
Yeah. And
right?
that's the thing, it's the standard American diet or Canadian diet is it causes so much inflammation
Yes.
that and anytime you have any kind of injury or chronic sort of physical ailment, inflammation makes it worse. And so here we're eating this diet that's just causing more inflammation. So how are people supposed to heal? How are they supposed to recover? You know, um,
Yeah.
yeah, Maggie was in a pretty serious accident in the fall, and she was back on her horse in 10 days
Nice.
at 80, like 83.
Oh, cool.
So,
Well, I was just thinking about, I grew up in a small town in northern New Brunswick, and the way we weren't fat then. We ate rabbit meat that my father would hunt and get rabbit in the winter, and
yeah,
we had the fish and the lobster, all the local. My
yeah,
mother always had a garden. We didn't have any kind of fast food. We didn't even know about it,
yeah.
right?
No,
Then the
no,
family moves to Montreal, and it's like suddenly we're eating pizza and Chinese food and
yeah,
barbecue. I love all of those things, of course,
yeah,
And it was a
yeah,
big treat to go to take I think it was you can get three candy for a penny. when I was a kid, so
Yeah.
that was the big
Oh yeah.
treat,
A
right?
whole bag of candy for 10 cents.
Yeah, so now, I love my jujubes and I want a big bag of jujubes. It's like, oh my God, it's so crazy.
Hmm.
It really is crazy, but it's nice to, because I've interviewed somebody who's a vegan,
Hmm.
okay, and his belief is that human beings are not meant to eat meat. I don't agree, but
Oh,
that's
it's absolutely incorrect.
yeah, that's his belief, right?
Yeah. Veganism is not sustainable with human life. It's not
Right.
compatible with human life. And I mean, there's quite a few vegans and vegetarians who have transitioned to carnivore after their bodies started to fail.
Right.
And I mean, our brain is made of fat. The myelin sheath is made of cholesterol. Right? We absolutely need animal fat. And more power to people who go down that route and are able to function.
Hmm.
When I see people who are vegan, I see the sickness and I see the ill health.
Yeah.
And
And it makes no
I
sense.
remember having just got to tell you this little anecdote.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
remember a number of years ago going to a Earl's with my friend who was vegan, and I would get I really like the blackened chicken, but I don't eat the skin. I didn't like the skin because it was coated with all the spices. It was a little too hot for me, so I'd peel it off, right, and then I would just eat the chicken because it's just infused with this great spices. And my vegan friend says, "Can I have a bite of that, the meat of the skin?" And I said, "Sure," because of course it's got the fat underneath it, right?
Yes.
She started to eat it, and I remember looking at her and thinking, she is starving for animal fat.
Wow.
Or she was just like in this state of bliss, and she ate the whole thing, just gobbled it right up.
Wow.
And that was fine with me, but I thought that's kind of ironic that she'd be out there with me sneaking a big piece of fatty chicken skin. But it also, now I totally get it. It's like
Yeah.
she was starving for animal fat. And I see in my vegan and vegetarian friends and relatives that they age faster.
Hmm.
They have, they're constantly like fatigued and tired and struggling with energy and depression. And yeah, there's just I mean, so somebody said to me, what about our dentition? We don't have like big fangs like saber-toothed tigers. And it's like, yeah, we do. They're just proportionate, right?
Yes. Yeah,
What we
exactly.
don't have is we don't have flat molars to grind back and forth this way and that way. And anybody has to do is clench their teeth and then try to like go back and forth. You can't, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, our teeth are designed to chew
Jew.
meat and to tear it off the bone and and
I watched the show Life Below Zero,
yeah,
and where people living in where Yukon, place in
yeah,
Alaska where the temperatures can drop, and they talk a lot about needing the fat.
absolutely. Any of those survival shows like Alone, Naked and Afraid, there's another one I like to watch. Who are the winners?
Yes,
It's
exactly.
always the people who find fatty meat.
Hmm.
Because I remember when it first really struck me, and this is before I even went carnivore, was there was one person who had, sometimes they luck out and they get a location where the fish run. And so they were getting lots of fish every day, but after, a week, they're sitting there, they're eating fish and they're going like, I need, I need to get like an animal, a mammal, a furry animal, because I'm starving. I'm going to starve. This is great, but I'm going to starve on this diet. And to me, like, it was like, oh yeah,
Yeah, such an
people
eye-opener.
who live off the land know this really, really well. It's like you cannot subsist on berries and fish and all those lean things. You have to have animal fat.
Yeah, our ancestors would not have eaten just plants.
Hell no.
Right?
Well, the other thing that really struck me is that I understand the basic premise that we can't digest cellulose, which is in all plants, right?
Okay.
And then I learned about oxalic acid, which is abundant in plants and fruits, and it crystallizes in our through digestion,
Mhm.
and then gets basically lodged in our kidneys, turns into stones, and can cause havoc, absolute havoc. And some of the things that people love to eat are like peanut butter, cashews, kiwi fruits, bananas. These are absolutely loaded with oxalates, and people think that they're healthy,
Right. Yeah.
but they're not.
Mm.
And if I was forced to eat any of those, I'd have them with like a big blob of butter, a glass of milk, because calcium binds with the crystals and helps them to flush through the body.
Ah,
But this whole thing around fiber, we don't need fiber once your body adjusts. Like elimination is just so easy and so uh yeah, just so much. It's just like the digestive system is at rest most of the time.
right.
But so I was listening to this podcast of this guy's Kent Carnivore is his name, and he had I think what's that irritable bowel syndrome for years and years, and ended up having a colonectomy.
Colonoscopy. Yeah.
So he has to wear a bag for
Oh,
the rest of
wow.
his life.
Right.
And when when he was starting to go carnivore, he went out one night and he had like a salad or something and some berries, and he said so he can see everything that goes how it's digested, and he said almost all those plants and fruits, whatever was not carnivore, was absolutely undigested,
Right.
almost all of it. And it makes sense because we can't digest it. We don't have four stomachs.
Yeah.
We don't chew our cud to bring it back up and keep chewing it until we. And here's the irony: so ruminant animals like cows, they eat plants, right?
Hmm.
And goes through their four stomachs and they chew it several times, comes back up in the cud and they chew it again. And what they extract from those plants is what we can't.
Right.
They
Yeah.
extract fat and protein. And isn't that so interesting? And so we extract fat and protein by eating fat and protein, right? Because we have a pretty simple digestive system.
Right.
It's acidic, and it's acidic. It's the perfect sort of acidity level for us to be able to digest meat
Yeah.
in pretty much any form,
Right.
right? Protein and fat. But I thought that was so interesting that like ruminant animals eat all these green plants and stuff we can't digest, and yet they extract the exact same thing that sustains us.
It's the same thing.
Fat.
Yeah.
Who knew, right?
Yeah.
Fat and protein.
It's kind of interesting because, like you said, I'm not a big meat eater, but I mean, I do love it. I mostly eat chicken just because it costs. But I love vegetables, but I can't, like, I like cauliflower and broccoli and Brussels sprouts, but I can't eat them. Because there's so much, pain in my stomach. And it's like, okay, I'm not supposed to eat these things, you know? Right?
No. And I heard you say that it's expensive. And here's the thing is I spend so much less on food now that I'm a
That's,
carnivore
yeah, of course. Yeah.
because I buy in bulk. But even then, I'd go to a grocery store and I would, like Costco, maybe pick up one of those great big things, a burger, and you can mix it with eggs and
Yeah.
make burgers and all kinds of stuff. Um, um, Hang on one second.
Okay.
I just need to let someone know I'm in a podcast.
Oh, okay.
So maybe they're going to start doing dishes or something. Um, yeah, and so part of the adjustment process is going from like 3 meals a day, right? You got to have your 3 squares, to only eating when I'm hungry.
Right.
Because like if I have a big meal, like if I have a big steak or big thing of ribs or something, I'm not hungry for 24 hours. And
Mhm.
so it took a long time. It took about a year for me to really accept the fact that I do not need to eat breakfast, lunch, and supper, that my body is designed to eat when I'm hungry.
Right. Yeah.
And like, so yesterday I got up and I made, like Costco has these really great pork bellies. So I had 3 strips. It's like big piece of bacon, but it's extra thick. And so I fried it until it was like golden brown and salted one, cut it into little pieces, and I just carried it around with me. And that's what I nibbled on in the day.
Oh,
And
cool.
then my sister made a turkey dinner. So I went to her place and had a bunch of turkey with butter on it. Big blob of butter. It was delicious. And that was what I ate all day. Um, and then yeah, like today I had eggs and a burger for breakfast, and I might have something later, but I'm like it's hard for me to even think about food anymore when I'm full.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so I might have something later, but I'm not even gonna I don't have to think about it right now because I'm satiated and yeah, I'll have energy for the day. So many things change, and I used to stuff my face every day. I used to feel so full every day, but I was so malnourished because I was eating all the wrong things, and I was always craving. It's like craving, 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 and it was because I was eating all the wrong things.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
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 Absolutely. Do you teach people about that diet?
Well, no, I mean, I've started getting invited to do talks about it. Um, and yeah, it's like, I just think like a lot of these carnivore doctors on YouTube, they tell all kinds of stories about like Ken Berry is a orthopedic surgeon. Anthony Chafee is a neurosurgeon. And, Ken was kind of a big fat guy. And, he's telling his patients to lose weight, right? Especially as they're preparing for like knee surgeries and hip
Right.
surgeries. And he's like, there's the incongruence here. I went through that too, right? I'm talking about health and wellness and, living your best life. And there I was, 260 some pounds.
Right.
And I couldn't stand that incongruence anymore. And so I had to make a change. But Ken's, talking to patients. And so he went carnivore and really changed his life. His energy started to bulk up. In men, the testosterone goes high. So I
Okay.
think that's appealing for a lot of men. And, once he started doing that, he started suggesting to his patients who were scheduled for knee and hip surgery, he started suggesting, why don't you try this carnivore diet for 30 days? We can do anything for 30 days, just 30
Yeah.
days, give it a try.
Yeah.
And, it might help you to lose a bit of weight for your surgery. That's going to be a good thing if you've got a new knee that you got to, walk on and that sort of thing.
Hmm.
Patient after patient was calling him after the 30 days saying, I don't think I need surgery. My knee's fine. I'm walking, I'm running, I'm doing playing tennis. My hip's fine, no pain. And he actually ended up getting in trouble because he was canceling, canceling these $200,000 surgeries.
Right.
But the people were getting healthy.
Wow.
And like Dave Mack has a channel. He did it. He interviewed me on that too, and he's interviewed over 1,000 people,
Okay.
story after story, and all ages. There's a couple there who are in their mid 80s, and the man, he had this list of medications he was on,
Yeah.
and now he's on none. And
That's
they walk like 7 to 10 miles a day in their 80s, and I mean, there's just like it fixes everything: diabetes, high
wow.
blood pressure, heart disease. Yeah,
I've got to do that because I take 4 meds a day and that's too much. Even,
yeah,
I resent having to take anything. So
yeah.
I really
And
have
so
to.
I do have my, yeah, you said, do I teach anybody? Well, I mean, I have my channel because you learn as you go. And for
Sure.
me, um, like it's really, really important that you have a balance of protein and fat. So even if you've got a steak with lots of fat on it,
Hmm.
or you make a roast, you eat all of that fat and collagen, divide it up in your portions, eat
Okay.
that, all of it.
Right.
And for any meat that's not really fatty, add butter and like just nibble on butter throughout the day. I call them butter pops. I put a big blob of butter. Grass fed is best. Big blob of butter on a spoon, and I just have it like a lollipop.
Cool.
You know, and it's like, and then you have to have electrolytes. So I've started making my own, but lots of people order Element, LMNT,
Hmm.
and it's got high sodium, high potassium, and then magnesium in it. And
Okay.
magnesium is really important because as you are adjusting to being, meat and fat burning instead of carbohydrate and sugar burning
Yes.
machine, you'll dump the oxalates that have built up in your system in all the
Okay.
fat that you carry or in your kidneys, and it causes like a keto flu,
Right.
and it can also cause cramping. And so it's really important that you get the sodium, magnesium, and potassium. And I was drinking like like between 60 and 90 uh, ounces a day of electrolytes. So 2 to 3 of the element.
Right.
And yeah, it's an iodine too. I've discovered a lot about iodine. Most people, like about 97% of North Americans are iodine deficient, which is crazy because the little minute bits that they put in iodized salt
Hmm.
is it's woefully inadequate.
Okay.
So some of the world experts on iodine, they say that we should have a minimum of 20 to 25 milligrams a day. The recommended daily dose is 160 micrograms.
Wow. Okay.
So it would take like what, five and a half of those doses to make one milligram. I take between 35 and 40 milligrams a day. So it's about
Yeah.
100. 50 times the
Okay.
daily
Yeah.
recommended dose. And that's just a therapeutic dose. And like the thyroid is the master gland for our entire like hormonal system, our endocrine system. So for teenagers,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why there's this. It's just a thought that came into my head one day. It's like we have so many kids that are thinking they're trans. I wonder if it's related to iodine deficiency and therefore uh, inability for the thyroid to regulate those pubescent hormones.
Oh. Well,
And yeah,
sorry,
I
I'm
mean,
yeah,
we absolutely have to have it.
right.
We absolutely have to have iodine.
Yeah, I'm getting a notice that we're running out of time here.
Oh no,
But
that
this
was too fast.
I know, but this is so because we only have like a total of 40 minutes from the time I log on to Zoom.
Right. Yeah.
But this is so fascinating, though. The more I've talked to you, this is only the second time, but still, the more I learn, and it's like, yeah, like what's holding me back from trying this? Nothing.
So
Just
I have 3 videos. It's Cree Carnivore at Cree
okay,
Carnivore on YouTube. And
yes,
I need to add more. I need to do an update. Maybe I'll do that today.
okay, and then I'll
And
look for it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. I'm going to end it there. Just get
Okay.
the camera for a second, and to the audience, thank you so much for tuning into the show. And yeah, check out Raven's YouTube videos. And I'm definitely going to try this carnivore diet. We need to be healthier. It's as simple as that. In the meantime,
30
everybody,
days. That's all it takes.
yeah, exactly. Meantime, everyone, take care and peace out.
Thanks, Nancy.
You're welcome. And this is going to air next Monday.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So
Awesome.
thanks again. Anytime you have anything you want to share or, promoting, let me know. I'd be happy to have you on.
Will
Okay.
do. All right.
Have a good
Take
day.
care. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.